Hey everyone, Austin here again with another quick play. This is my casual series of attempted playthroughs where I just kind of fire up a game, I don't really practice it, and we just kind of see what happens. So yeah, not a terribly involved video, especially with this game, which is a very basic, straightforward shoot 'em up called Gradius. This was originally an arcade game in the mid-1980s, and this was a very, I believe, early third-party title for the Nintendo Entertainment System and Famicom. It's an interesting conversion. It's definitely a little more dated than the arcade version is. It definitely has some cutbacks compared to the arcade game. And it's also got a pretty steep learning curve, but once you kind of learn it and you get into it, I think it's a lot of fun. I think it still is enjoyable to go back to, but it can be brutal if you do not know the game very well. So with that, let's go ahead and just jump right into it. And we are actually running this on the Mr. FPGA. So we're using the NES core for this, and I am using a 8BitDo SN30 Pro controller, so I'm actually kind of playing this with the SNES style controller, which is going to be a little weird. Whenever I do NES gameplay videos here, I typically use my retro USB AVS console, which allows me to use original NES controllers. Technically, I can do original NES controllers on the Mister as well, but that requires controller adapters and things like that, and I just kind of prefer using something that just runs directly into the console. But yeah, so yeah, Gradius here on the Mr. FPGA on the NES core. Unfortunately, I actually kind of started off this level pretty poorly. If you kill those long chains of enemies in the beginning, they always drop these little power-up icons, and they build your bar on the bottom of the screen, and you can press the A button, or I should say the B button, to activate the power-up option that is currently highlighted. And so what I like to do is I like to speed up a bunch in the beginning, and then I like to activate my missiles, because as you can see, the missiles, they travel along the bottom of the screen, and Gradius was kind of ahead of its time in that, like, you had enemies on both the tops and bottoms of the screens in this game, which is really cool. And yeah, because of all the enemies on the bottom, the missiles help out a ton. So you really want to have two options here. You can only have two in this version of the game. In the arcade, I believe you can have four. What we want to do with these options is kind of sit towards the top of the screen here, kind of like this, and hope that we don't die. So let's go ahead and just keep mashing the attack button here and see what happens. This was my original roadblock in this game. For the longest time, I could not get anywhere in this game, and it was because of this specific section right here. Whew, and we got it. That section is way faster in the NES version than it is in the arcade game. The arcade game, the rocks come out really slow, and in the arcade game, there's also a safe spot on the top right-hand portion of the screen. That safe spot does not exist in the NES version. There might be another safe spot, but I haven't really watched any like full long plays of this game with higher skilled players to see what they do. But yeah, we got past level 1. That's the first roadblock for a lot of people. I'd say the next couple of levels actually aren't that bad, so we'll just kind of see how they go. I'm going to go ahead and get this question mark at the very end of my power bar. That gives me a shield. And I believe the shield in this game, the NES version, it actually works for your entire ship. Yeah, it works for your entire ship. Whereas in the arcade game, it just only, like, the shield portion itself actually blocks bullets, but in this, you basically have a ship-wide shield, so the shield is actually more useful in the NES version of the game, which is really cool. Now, you can get creative with your option setups. You can have them kind of go through walls a little bit. You can position your options in a way that just benefits you and allows you to kill things in creative manners, or a creative manner. And, yeah, second level. Pretty fun stage, actually. You've got all these, like, little pink circular objects you have to try to shoot through. Now, ideally, what I want to do is try to get my laser. The laser will definitely help out a lot. But I've also taken a couple of hits already, so I kind of want to, like, get rid of my shield and then reactivate my shield. There we go. So I got rid of my shield, and then I reactivated it because my power-up icon was on the question mark at the very end already. Now, as far as picking up power-up icons, you'll notice that you have blue enemies and then you have orange enemies. It's the orange enemies that will drop power-ups behind them. So, if you're trying to get your upgrades quickly, you want to try to hit all the orange enemies that you see. Everything else is basically just points. So notice that before each boss fight, you have like a little, I don't even know what you would call these, a little warm-up to the boss, or a little endurance section. And for this one, it's all these sort of square objects come out. You kind of want to stay in motion and be watching for where they are. You don't want them to spawn right on top of you, otherwise you'll die. Well, I have the shield, so I don't know if I'd die instantly, but if you don't have the shield, you definitely would, so... Yeah, every level has a section like that, right before the boss fight, and every boss is basically the same up until the very end of the game. And, so it's basically these guys, you just want to just bob and weave back and forth, or up and down. Now you'll notice that I've actually got double highlighted. Double can be pretty decent in this, but it's not as good as other versions of Gradius. So I personally prefer to stick with the laser for the whole playthrough. As you can see, it can just slice and dice through many enemies at once. So the laser is very, very good in this game. And what I'm going to do is try to keep my power-up icon at the very end. That way, if I lose my shield, I can just reactivate the shield immediately. And this is the Moai stage. Now what's kind of interesting about the Moai stage is that there's actually a way to quick warp past the next level. If I remember correctly, I think you can just like warp past the next stage. I don't remember how to activate it. It's been so long since I've actually played through this game. But sometimes you'll play this and you'll actually just find yourself warping out from it. And it's kind of interesting. But if you guys have never played a Gradius game before, I mean, this game was really cutting edge when it came out in the arcades in particular. It was also still kind of interesting for NES, even when it first came out. With the power-up system, and then just the very unique, like, stage and enemy design, like the Moai heads. And a lot of what you see here in this very first game became standard for the rest of the series. Just about every Gradius game has a Moai stage. It's got every Gradius game has a very similar power-up system. Unless you count Salamander. Salamander in the arcades, which was technically a part of the Gradius series, did go for a totally different power-up system, but when that actually came out in North America as Life Force, they actually changed it to a more traditional Gradius-style power-up system. So for this endurance battle, you've got these circular objects. When they open up, they shoot these three-way shots. And you'll notice that sometimes they can actually go to the right. A little irritating to deal with, but you can try to keep your options on top of them. Kind of like that. Ooh, and we took a hit, but yeah. So, you know, having the shield was actually really good there, so... But you'll notice that my shield is orange now, which means it's about to dissipate. So basically one more hit, I think, and the shield will go away. So I have to be really careful, because if it's something like one of these lasers, I'll probably lose the shield and then die at the same time. Because I don't think that laser, any of these lasers will just disappear when my shield absorbs them. You have to shoot the core in the middle. In later Gradius games, there would be voice samples and stuff like that, and they'll actually say, "Shoot the core!" And you know what, they might even say that in the arcade game, the original arcade Gradius, but I don't remember. It's been a little while since I played the arcade Gradius. So I'm going to intentionally lose my shield and then reactivate it. Because again, I had my power-up bar on the last slot. We're making pretty good progress, all things considered, and like, you know, which is pretty cool considering I haven't played this game in a while. And we'll go ahead and leave it on my shield. We'll see what happens here. Now, if I wanted to, I could try to cycle around, maybe select double, because double is, you know, a weapon that will shoot vertically, which is nice, which helps me get rid of all those enemies on the ceiling. You notice that we've got a lot of bullets on screen now. We're more than before, and that's because I'm basically fully powered up. As you get powered up in this game, the game has a dynamic difficulty where the more powered up you are, the more difficult it becomes. The more bullets enemies generally shoot. So, as you get powered up in this game, it actually becomes harder. So, something to keep in mind when you are upgrading in this game. Now, don't get me wrong, I'd much rather go through this game fully upgraded with a lot of bullets than have to deal with it with no upgrades and very few bullets. For one, it's just a lot more satisfying to shoot things when you're powered up. But two, you know, well, I just like being powered up. Alright, and kind of the same thing as on level 1. I'm gonna just stay down here and just constantly shoot and hope that it works. It's insane to me that they thought it was a good idea to make these rocks so fast in this version. It's absolutely insane. If you look at the arcade game, they're so slow in comparison. Man, I'm not sure why they did that. I wonder if the Japanese version of this game is the same way, honestly. Like the Famicom version of Gradius. If anybody knows, let me know. And actually, what I'll probably do in my own time is actually go watch maybe a playthrough of the Famicom version. Or actually, no, I could even just fire it up. I've got the Mister. I've got just about every game accessible at any given time. So maybe I'll just like try it out for myself and see if it's any different. I'm curious if like those rocks were always that fast, even in the Famicom version, or if it was something that was tweaked for the North American release. You know, we have this conversation frequently on my live streams here, where, you know, when we play NES games, people always comment on the difficulty increases in certain games, like Castlevania 3 or Ninja Gaiden 3, you know, things like that. Games like that. Where these companies likely increase the difficulty to kind of combat the rental market. Because in North America, rentals were legal, and so that was like a tradition for a lot of people. You know, Friday night hits, let's go to the video store and rent a video game for the weekend, you know, and just play that game all weekend. And, but in Japan, rentals were illegal. So, people actually had to buy their games to play them. What a concept. Basically, you know, some of these companies in North America didn't want people renting a game, beating it, and then not buying it. They, you know, otherwise they're not going to make any money if people aren't buying their games. They're just renting them. These companies don't make money. Or not nearly as much money, I should say. So I always wondered if, like, you know, maybe the rocks were increasing difficulty for the American version just to combat the rental market. I could be overthinking it. It could just be like that's just how the game is, even in Japan. So, but it is interesting because they are so much slower in the arcade version. So for this level, you basically want to shoot these guys in the arms, where they have, you know, you can see in their arms there's one ball that is discolored, and it looks like it's slightly larger too. Now, I think you can also just shoot these guys, like, straight on. Honestly, this part is a little janky in the NES version. It is definitely handled much better in the arcade game. And there is so much slowdown here, too. Yeah, people complain about slowdown in games like Super R-Type, but they obviously haven't played Gradius on the NES. Slowdown doesn't really ever bother me, though. It's just, like, it was just a fact of life, or a matter of, yeah, just a fact of life, you know, back during this era of gaming, and into the 16-bit era. Hell, even into the 32-bit era, there were a bunch of games back then that, or during that time period, that had tons of slowdown as well, so... Alright, still making progress. Alright, boss time. Now, if we do beat this game, the game does loop. It does get harder, but I'm not going to play the second loop. I'm going to just kind of like leave this as a short video. And, yeah, that is assuming we beat the game. I mean, I could very well die and then, you know, really struggle to recover, which is entirely possible. We'll see what happens. Like I said, I haven't practiced this, so I'm not warmed up in the slightest. And this is actually the first video game I've played today, so I'm extra not warmed up. I'm extra cold. I'm gonna go ahead and just leave it on my shield. Now you'll notice that there are some blue power-ups. Those are actually like screen-clearing bombs. Alright, I just replenished my bomb. Not my bomb. I replenished my shield intentionally. I'm sure I took a couple of hits on the previous level, so I wanted to make sure that my shield was 100%. There's not really any way to tell what level your shield is at the moment in this version of the game. In other versions, your shield actually starts really big, and it gets smaller as it takes hits. In this one, it's always the same size. So this laser is actually really good for this level. Lots of enemies, lots of objects to cut through. I need to make sure I get my shield back up, or my shield option, power-up select option. Okay, there we go. To where I need it to be. Oh, no. Had no choice. I had to run into that power-up. Double here is probably pretty handy, because again, you can get rid of some of these things, you know, with your vertical shot. Alright, should be close to the boss fight. Now this boss, kind of like the volcanoes, just shoots insanely fast. I'm gonna try to just sit here like this. Just keep mashing the fire button. Not as fast as I can, because you can only have so many projectiles on screen at once. I just want a constant stream of firepower going. Now keep in mind, there is no auto fire in this game, or at least no rapid fire. Auto rapid fire. So you have to actually mash the buttons in this. Now I'm just holding down the button right now. That's as fast as it goes if you just hold it down. So you need to shoot, you know, mash the button to fire faster. But you don't want to mash it so fast that, you don't want to mash the button so fast that, like, you're pressing the button when nothing's actually happening. So you can only have about, I don't know, maybe 3 projectiles on screen at once, like 3 lasers at once. I think that's how it works. Yeah, this is actually our last level, believe it or not. Now if I wanted to, I could try to cycle through to my double, because lots of enemies on the ceiling. Let's actually do that, because I'm actually kind of struggling here right now. I have to be very careful though, because lots of bullets. Ooh, very nice. Oof. Alright, 3 more power-ups for my shield. Good, got the shield. Awesome. Alright, we're in business now. That was a little scary there for a minute. I thought I might die. Alright, there's a part coming up here where you have to actually bolt through before a door closes on you. This is one of those sections where, like, if you don't have that memorized, you will die, and it's right here. Wow, did we just get a 1 life clear in this game? I think we did. I did not die once. Alright, so for this part right here, you don't really even have to do anything. Well, I'm gonna just shoot anyway, because I can. And this is the final quote-unquote boss. And that's it, we just beat Gradius. It's a very short game when you know what you're doing. And now if you want an extra challenge, you can play through it again. And have a higher difficulty increase. And it looks like they actually downgraded me completely. You don't get to start level 1 with everything. But like I said, I'm not going to play through this. I'm going to go ahead and just end the video right here. So, hopefully you guys enjoyed this playthrough of Gradius for the NES. Hopefully you guys are enjoying this quick play series where I just kind of fire up a game and just talk about it and play. So, Yeah, I actually have quite a few of these in my back catalog right now as of recording this one. So hopefully that's given me enough time to start working on some of my other more involved Let's Plays. So hopefully you guys are looking forward to that. I'm going to be running a live stream here shortly, if it hasn't happened already at least. Practicing said game for said Let's Play for patrons and YouTube channel members. So if that hasn't happened yet, watch out for that. That'll be happening very soon. Actually, as of doing this recording, I think it might have already happened, because I'm trying to record these quick plays, you know, several weeks in advance. I'm basically trying to crank out a bunch so you guys have a lot of content to enjoy while I am able to prepare other types of videos and whatnot. So, other videos that take a lot more time to put together. But yeah, that's going to do it for me, guys. Thanks again for watching. If you have any questions or comments or anything like that, or if you have any thoughts on Gradius itself, do let me know, and post them down below in the comments section. And any other questions or feedback, feel free to drop them down there as well. And yeah, thanks for watching, guys. Have yourselves a fantastic day or night, wherever you are in the world. And until the next one, take it easy.